How's it going, everyone? This is Anon. You can keep this stream short and sweet. It's pretty late here. Was at the Verizon store for a long time, and then came home. I was talking to my wife for a bit, so about kids in school and stuff like that. So I'll keep it short and sweet. I did see that it looks like AVCT, American Virtual Cloud Technologies. Remember we had talked about that. A bunch of people asked what I thought, and I told them I didn't think that they were going to be doing a buyout. We even got something back from them. Hey, what's up, Random? What's up, bud? What's up, Goat? So I had kind of mentioned that I was not as bullish on it, and I know some people were, but what's up, Andrew? How are you, bud? How you doing, Jerry? The sky's up. But yeah, so it looks like they announced a 15-to-1 reverse stock split, which is not good. That means they're basically just trying to come into compliance with not being delisted, but it's going to be, obviously, if you have 15 shares, now you have 1. So, not great. Which is why the stock, I think, dumped in the after hours. Oh, you're actually eating Eat the Rich. How is it? I have not watched it. Yeah, reverse splits don't bide well for usually any companies. It's AVCT, the one that was getting pumped all over Short Squeeze sub. And people kept asking me about it, and I told them I wasn't super bullish on it. I said, to me, the way it looks like this is, it looks like they need cash very badly, and they also are, months away from being delisted, so they're going to have to do something, and sure enough, it didn't taste like chicken so to watch. Yeah, so, I don't know how many people were in on that plan. I know some people were. I stayed away from it. It didn't look right to me. I'm getting a lot better about kind of the smell test when I look at stocks, especially ones that are being heavily pumped on those, that sub. And I don't really think it's anything to do with the mods of the sub. I think it's just the nature of when you have a sub that large, there's going to be some bad actors who come in there and try to do some things, you've got the eyes of a couple thousand people, you get them to just buy in a little bit here and there, and next thing you know, you're leaving a whole bunch of people holding bags, and I know, obviously that doesn't feel good. Obviously, me being somebody that was very much behind ATER, but I think it was a little bit different because, honestly, I was not expecting Armistice to sell 5 million shares that they just got the month before. That doesn't usually happen. That's pretty bold, to be honest with you, to just get private placement shares and then literally, less than a month later, start unloading them. That's usually, the grounds for, the SEC looking at them. So, turn on monetize. Thank you. Appreciate it. I did forget that. I always forget that. I don't think it's the reason why I don't make any money on YouTube, but, it's not going to hurt for me to turn it on. Go ahead and here we go. Content, live, monetize, save. Okay, there we go. So, Kramer's effing moron that they use to pump stocks. Yeah, he knows what it is. Darty wants to give you a tip. The tip is, Earthium stayed at AVCT because I didn't understand what was going on. Lost money on the buyout before. Not doing that again. Yeah, to be honest with you. ATER all over the news. Killer third quarter tab. I mean, it's possible. Here, let's switch over to ATER real quick. So, like, I've got a lot of, like, work to do tomorrow. I've got to see if I can pump out a DD while also there's a bunch of stuff at the office that I need to do. But let's just take a look at this real quick. All right, so we had finally a day that wasn't, like, terrible, you know. Technically, we finished 5 cent screen, 2%. It's the first time we've seen a little bit of volume pick up, a little bit of, like, you can see, like, it had been pretty much flatlining down here at the bottom. You know, we've always had the money flow up here because we haven't had a lot of money flow out. It's been basically just this constant, like, slow trickle. For the money flow to come down significantly, it would have to be a mass sell-off, which we've not really had before with Ethereum. So, pretty much right now what I'm looking to see is this to go. Here, let me zoom out so I can kind of look at it more objectively. But you just look at the money flow, you can see slight variance right here, like when the money flowed out right there. But it didn't really go, and it's kind of like maintained this like 98%. You know, now we're looking at like 90. It's still above 90. So like, there's not been this like mass sell-off, right? Because I think most people are underwater on the stock, so you're not seeing a mass exodus from the stock. Here, though, you can see for the first time in a while, the ADL is actually going up, right? So, like, the accumulation distribution is actually going up for the first time in a while. It had been constantly just going down throughout this, like, phase here. And so this is the first time you saw any sort of, like, reversal. You're kind of seeing the CCT start diminishing. It's going back up. It might cross over in a couple days. You know, I would think maybe at the beginning of next week into, like, mid-next week, we could see maybe a slight change. Maybe these curl up a little bit more. Maybe the MACD crosses over and the CCI crosses over, and then that would be nice to see the awesome oscillator start doing the same thing. So we're starting to see a bullish divergence on like ATER for the first time in a while. So, and they may pump the stock up going into earnings to get their warrants unlocked. This may be that, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the stock's low. Like, the stock down here, is... I showed you guys that Morningstar, I think, a couple weeks ago. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Where is... Oh, that's AVYA. Where is... That's APRN. I know we have one of these for Ethereum as well. Maybe I just prodded it. Let me pull it up real quick and see if I can get it for you guys. So I think Morningstar, if I remember correctly, it was somewhere around like 290 something was supposed to be like a 5-star buy on Ethereum. Here we go. I'll screenshot it for you guys and bring it over. No, it's actually 303 now is the 5-star buy. So they adjusted it, it looks like today. So here, I'll bring this over for you guys so you can see it. Okay. So, we'll zoom in a little bit. So Morningstar's analysis, right, from today, like exactly today, they actually changed this. So now anything under 303 is supposed to be a 5-star buy, and our closing price was 197. Yep. So this is still very much in this 5-star buy, So like if you're looking at it just from like a long-term standpoint, like if they do decently on this earnings, you could see the shorts starting to slowly close, all that jazz. So yeah, I mean, this very well could just be the turnaround. And we don't know for a fact that, Armistice isn't going to just dump their shares. We don't know that at this point. They could have dumped the first round because they knew they were going to be over 10% ownership of the company. So therefore, basically, they sold off and made a ton of money, which basically paid for their warrants. And now they can hold this long position if they want to long term, because they're going to get like 7 million shares and still be like the largest shareholder of the company if it turns around. So like there's like multiple ways of looking at this. It just depends on what they're going to do. If they want the cash, they'll just pump it and get out, and then we'll see the stock probably do a very similar run to what it did back here in April, where it ran hard for like a couple weeks and then just dumped. And usually you'll see 2 rounds of it, because it's basically them distributing and then trying to get the stock back up so they can make more when they sell it again. You don't want to just sell everything all at once, because you're not going to get as much money. You want to distribute it like as it's hitting these tops, push it down with large scale sales here, do it again, let it pop back up on low volume, then you can start like selling here. And that's what you saw them do. Like, because these days were like 100 million shares. They probably dropped a huge amount here at the top. Retail still FOMOing in, market makers are hedging, and you know, that May was where we basically saw them, you know, just push it down so we didn't gamma ramp. So yeah, we don't know what their thing is, but you know, let me read. Volume is due. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just reading through. Also planning M&A quarter sooner. They'll probably need to dilute though to do the M&A. I'm just throwing that out there because I want to be fair with the coverage. So yeah, like I mean they will do M&A, and hopefully that will be good. Hopefully they've been scouting a good company to do it with, and maybe this company's beaten down and undervalued, and they're able to take advantage of that, and then we won't need as much goodwill. But you know. Yeah, like fair value, I mean, I can bring it up again if you want me to open up the Morningstar thing. But the fair value, I believe, was 717. Yeah, it's right there. So fair value, 717. Right now, anything under 303 is considered a, you know, 5-star buy. If you buy it over $17 a share right now, you'd be obviously not very happy. So there's that. And what's your opinion on Apple? Yeah, so all right, so just for context sake, right? Apple is one of those very safe companies, right? That like literally they've got like one of the biggest cash balance sheets. They're very, very well set up. But they're also susceptible to, you know, downturns in markets. And, you know, I mean, I was just at Verizon. They're back ordered for their phones for the new, you know, whatever 14s, I guess. Because my wife wanted a new one. So I was working out all the details of, you know, trading in phones and seeing what would, you know, be reasonable. Let me pull this up for you guys real quick. Apple. But Apple is one of the heaviest weighted ones in the S&P. So if you want to drop the S&P, if you attack Apple, in fact, I think if I remember correctly, Burry shorted Apple instead of the SPY because it was cheaper to do that, because nobody shorts Apple. And so he was able to basically get the same sort of like hedge going into it, which is actually kind of genius if you think about it. But yeah, all right. So I mean, everyone knows who Apple is, right? But they had a huge downturn, right? So like you're down like 5% on a company that's like, what's the market cap on them? Like, here, let me pull up the stock information. Oh my God, that's so much money. Yeah, like just so their revenue, right? 80. Look at this. This is kind of nuts. Let me just pull this over to you guys so you can see what I'm saying. But if you just look straight up at their revenue, like their Apple revenue. Yeah. So for that quarter, it was almost $83 billion. Like, it's gross how much money they have. Like, well, we'd have to look at their balance. Let's look at their balance sheet real quick. So the reason why they just hit this downturn is obviously because, number one, they've been overweight for a while. That's not exactly a secret. Like, all of the things on the S&P right now are trading at, like, I don't know, like 60 times their earnings or whatever. Like, their multiples are crazy right now. Like, we're in a bubble. Everyone knows that. And it's not till the entire market crashes, and then we go, oh, yeah, that was a bubble. Like, I just want to see, though, how much cash do they have on hand? Cash flow. So the trailing 12 months is $118 billion in cash. Like, this stuff's crazy, right? Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, all these stocks are going to go down. Like Tesla, Amazon, Meta, all the FANG stocks, all the tech stocks, they are overvalued right now. And so what you want to do is you want to wait till those guys bottom out and then start, you know, we don't know when the bottom's going to be. The bottom is super hard to time, so is the top. But you also know that if you're looking at things over the course of a long period of time, right, you can start to realize, like, okay, well, what are like reasonable price per earnings? What are reasonable, like, you know, multiples for the sale, like off sales? Like, there's a lot of factors that you can look at. It just depends on where people step back in to buy the stock, right? So if we look at this thing from, let me just do this. Pull it up. It's Mang Man. So I'm just writing Sean from Dilution Tracker because he and I both talked about it. One's reverse split. Okay. I just want to pull up a balance sheet. We can kind of figure it out. But, like, I mean, I'm actually, their market cap is $2.41 trillion. Yeah. Like, I think at one point they had a $3 trillion market cap at, like, the height of the bull market. All right. So, like, Vanguard's got obviously a huge, you know, stake in them. So does BlackRock, Berkshire Hathaway. I believe even, like, Ryan Cohen's company has a pretty big chunk of Apple stock. Ethereum's going to replace Apple and the FANG. No, that's not going to happen. But wishful thinking, right? Okay. So a bunch of notes due in multiple years, but money's been cheap, so everyone's been borrowing. Because why not? When money's cheap, might as well, right? Pump it into R&D, pump it into all sorts of other things. Yeah, I'm just taking a look real quick at net sales off products, services. I mean, they've always been able to make money. These guys are really good at making money. It's because they charge for everything, which is why I never owned an Apple product. But I am going to now because my wife has insisted that I switch my phone so I have a blue message or something like that. I don't know. But because I screwed up and lost my phone and I got a free phone, I'm now having to be forced to go over to the dark side. So I will contribute to some of Apple's sales for this next quarter. All right. I mainly wanted to see, though, their cash position. So here's their balance sheet, right? So we can see here that they have less cash. Marketable securities went down. Their accounts receivable went down. Their inventory has gone down. Their vendor non-tradable receivables have gone down. Overall, their current assets have gone down. In the meantime, their total assets have also gone down, right? If you look at their liabilities have increased. So total liabilities has roughly gone down, but the current liabilities are up. And then if you look at shareholder equity, you could do the math on that, but basically you can figure out what the stock should be worth for fair, market value, and then what it's actually trading at. So, like, if we were to pull up, for example, like Morningstar. Morningstar on them has a fair value at 130. And they just finished 142. So let me just pull this over for you. I'll pull up a snapshot for you guys on Apple. So yeah, like at some point you do want to see and probably do want to invest some shares of your stuff into stuff that's in the S&P. You can always buy like a index fund if you want, or you can just make your own, to be honest, and then you don't have to pay extra fees. You can find ones that are pretty low fees, like I believe Vanguard has pretty low fees. Are they the ones? Were they the ones that have the low fees? I think it was Vanguard. But I was going to say, or you could always just buy those shares yourself and then basically make your own ETF or own index fund and just kind of make sure as long as you can rotate them, that's what I've been trying to do, is kind of create my own little like ETF, things that I think are going to be good in the future. And that's kind of how I've built my portfolio. I try to find some undervalued things to throw in there too, but I try to keep it like somewhat balanced. But I did pull out during this whole Ethereum thing, a couple, safe, reliable stocks for the undervalued one, and the stock has dropped since then. But I'm trying to maintain at least some discipline of not selling off a huge amount of the safer, stocks, even though they're all going down the same rate right now. When you have a 2-point-something trillion dollar company losing 5% on the day, that's pretty rough. The reason though is, these stocks get pumped up just like anything else. And then if you look at like here, let me pull over the Morningstar for you guys and screenshot it. But all right, here it is. All right, so you want to know about Apple. Morningstar's got them right now. We closed at 149 was at the close, but then after hours it looks like it went down to 142. Might be tired if I'm saying the wrong number, sorry there. But yeah, if you look here, they have fair value right now at 130. Now, let's be honest, that can go a little bit lower probably. If the whole market's crashing and you're able to buy stock, Apple stock at like, say for example, I don't know, 120, like that's probably a pretty safe bet that like even if it drops down to like 110 or 100, you'll probably be fine if you average down. We don't know where this thing's going. You could look TA wise and look back and just see like what strong areas of support are. But like, if we break down through here, then, you could be retesting these like kind of like $100 levels. To me, it looks like this is like Wyckoff and there's about to be some like selling pressure, some major selling pressure probably down into like the 100 area, like maybe 110 when, I'm just eyeballing it, but you know, that's what I could see is a pretty significant drop at some point. And then at that point, that would fit kind of in more of the like, okay, that's where the bottom is. People buy back in, and then, you know, you just hold it then for a longer period of time. Now, who knows how long it will take us to get down to those levels? It may take months. It may take weeks. Just if it flies down, who knows? But, you know, market crashes are weird things. Like, they're not always just straight down, even though it feels crappy the entire time. So, yeah, Vanguard's pretty good. Oh, we got porn bots again. Oh yeah, we did. That's weird. Well, we haven't had those in a while, I guess, and we don't have many people in here, so I'm curious about that. We only have 18 people in here. I don't know why the porn bots are in here. Who knew apples were so much? Yeah, I mean, I will give them this. Apple, I don't particularly like. I'm annoyed by them because I've always felt like they were like ripping off people who didn't understand technology, because they essentially made things so easy that like you didn't have to have any brains to use, you know, a phone or a tablet or a computer. But you know, in the long run, they know how to make money. So if you have some Apple stock, you know, you'll probably be in for a rough couple of weeks or months, but, you know, maybe a year or two. But once it comes back up, they've always been a very safe company to own, because they're just so big and they have so much money that their money makes money. Like, yeah. Let me check. I did want to see something. I have obviously Yahoo. What do they call it? A fantasy football team. And last week I got roughed up. Getting roughed up this week because Tyreek Hill put up 160 yards, 10 receptions, and Waddle only got. Did Waddle get hurt? Why is that so lopsided? What happened to Waddle? Oh, I know he had a groin injury, but he must have tweaked it or something, or maybe just was not part of the game plan because he was banged up. Yeah, he did not do well in that game against the Bengals. He had 5.9 points, and Tyreek Hill put up 25 on me. Ugh, rough. Rough. Jake, who's Waddle? I lost track of players. My boy Drew Bledsoe's going to light you up. That's pretty funny. That's pretty good. Man, I remember watching that game. Drew Bledsoe went out, and then that kid from Michigan came in, and couple. It wasn't 90s. That was like, well, maybe was it 90s? No, that was like early 2000s, right? Yeah. Number 12 took his job and never looked back. And man, that worked out for those guys. Not from the rookie cards. Was it really 90s? God. No, right? Was it that long ago? No, it couldn't have been. I'm looking it up. he was in the NFL draft in 2000. And he got his first start, I think, though. Was it 2001? It was early 2000s. I was right. I don't care about his early life. I need to know about his professional career. He came in when Drew Bledsoe got hurt in 2000, right? He was drafted in 2000. Yeah, 2001. Yeah, so I was going to say, I think I was right about that. It was early 2000s, because I believe I was I in college when he was... Yeah, rookie cards. Nobody collects cards anymore. Wonder if they'll make NFTs a thing. Like, NFTs will replace, like, player cards. I know they were trying to do that. Wasn't there some sort of, like, group that wanted to basically sell NFTs, like, of players? Yeah, BBAI had a decent little day. They announced that they won some sort of contract. I literally was just talking about them and how I wanted to buy them, like, around $1. And sure enough, BBAI comes out of nowhere and screams up like 40% pre-market, and I'm like, now here's the biggest thing. We've got a gap here from basically like 121 or something like that all the way up to 140, right? So I think the gap will fill at some point, right? I do think this gap will fill at some point. I don't know when it's going to be, though. It could be just when the market entirely crashes. I am going to set buy orders, though, down here on this gap close, because I think if it comes down to that level, they clearly are starting to win some contracts, and that's going to turn around their business. And I think at that point, that's some good news for them. So we've talked about it before. I've told you guys I'm long on them. I already owned a bunch of shares, so I'm more annoyed by myself because I talked about waiting a little bit longer to buy, and I should have been slowly buying them. So my nephew should debut in the MLB draft next year. I don't know where he'll be in the list, but I think he'll be in the top 100. Well, that's cool. What's your nephew's name? We can look him up as one of the top baseball prospects. Yeah, BBAI is not... here's the thing. They're not like a horrible company. Like, they had some bad times, which is when everybody... Like, Smart Money owned them for a long time. They were long. And then they had some issues, and so... But, I mean, they're still really, really high on the cost to borrow, and, like... I don't know. That's one of those few that I'm like, I don't think I like these, the shorts are going to probably close out pretty quickly once any good news comes by. I don't think they're going out of business. They have plenty of cash that I saw, and so, all right. He's not in the prospects now. He'll just be somewhere in the draft. I mean, is it okay to, like, look him up, or should we not look him up? You don't want to dox him, that's totally fine. Is he coming out of, like, high school or something? Because a lot of those, MLB people now get drafted out of, like, high school. I mean, they're, like, 17 years old, and they can sign a contract, I think, and, like, the DR and stuff like that, and they'll bring them over and train them for a couple years. Oh, you sent it in private? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, at least in college they get a bunch of, like, opportunities to grow and stuff like that, so that's cool. Well, wish them luck for all of us. So I think I'm gonna try doing something different going into next week. I'm going to start two separate things. I want to try to start the educational stuff where I'm going to probably have to spend a couple days like writing out like the script on that, and then I don't know, maybe animating it or like doing like one of those like Doodly or whatever, like, you know, programs, and try to like figure out how to do that. I mean, another option is I could finally just reveal myself and then just create more of like a normal educational thing, you know. I don't think any hedge funds really care who I am, to be honest with you. I'm starting to at least think that. I don't know. I talked to my wife about it, and she was like, like, at least you're anonymous right now. Like, people aren't, like, digging in our lives and, like, you know, cartoon Anon. Yeah, I mean, maybe we can do something like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not as riled up as I used to be, so, and I'm not exactly, like, I'm just calling out stuff as I see it, so I don't think I'm ugly. I think I'm pretty average. We care. Yeah, let me see real quick. I don't know. But the other thing I was thinking about doing was I talked to the guys from Optionality, and I kind of wanted to see what they're doing as far as like their whole setup. I've been using their app more, and I like it. So like I don't know about you guys, but like I'm thinking about doing a series based off of their platform that would just be like putting $500 in, and let's see how much money we can turn that into. So yeah, you could be farm animals like us. We have a goat, a donkey. Should I just make it all animated animals? All right, something happened. Yeah, like, you know, can we turn $500 into like 5,000? You know, or like that wouldn't work for a 30-day contest, but like, you know, could we do that in 6 months or something like that? Like, you know, if people have $500 and we kind of just take a look, and I can call out things that I'm seeing, and you know, I've never done anything like that, and like obviously that's not financial advice. I'll just be basically putting out what I'm doing, and then if it works, great. But the goal would be to basically turn that $500, you know, into, you know, maybe 5,000, maybe 10,000. Who knows? We'll make some sort of thing. So, a bunch of drunk farm animals drinking whiskey. That's our animated thing. All right. Well, it's late here. I just wanted to jump on real quick and just cover that. I know also BBBY, some people had asked about that earlier. Obviously, earnings were like meh, and you know, we know, but the one nice thing is they're not going bankrupt. So, not a great earnings, but at the same time, the one silver lining is it's not exactly Options Millionaire, clickbaity name, but generally smart guy. I've never seen him. Options Millionaire. And he never shows his face. He's got 34K subscribers. That's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. He's got flashy things, like flashy thumbnails and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe that can be a thing going forward, is, you know, trying to do this little challenge Order still shows canceled through my orders. Oh, I got my comforter today from BBBY. Yeah, I've never heard of him. I'll take a look at his content. I mean, I'm always happy to look at other people's, and obviously he's doing well. He has that many subscribers. I don't know how long he's been doing it, but doing something right. Obviously, he's making more than $31, so he must be doing much better than me. Where am I at now? Monetization, ads, dashboard, $35. Told you guys I'd show you. Here. Boom. $35. $60-day challenge on $500. I mean, you could play weeklies, and as long as you were hitting on them, you probably could do pretty well. The biggest problem with not having a ton to start with is basically, I had to distribute the wealth back out. And I'm pretty sure one of those was when you guys gave me a $5 tip, because I was only at $29, and when you guys gave me a $5 tip. Now YouTube will take 3 something of it, but or 2 something of it, but yeah. Didn't people get mad at Trey or something? Wasn't that the deal? He gave up on AMC. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about what that guy's doing. But he's making a lot of money, is what I can tell you. And he definitely ignored a bunch of people. Oh my God, he looks rough. What's going on with his face? He's growing out like a big beard, and he's out of the military now, isn't he? He must be. He's got to be out of the military now. They wouldn't let him look like that. He's probably making too much money. That's one of the things in the military. If you make too much money, they get you out because, withholding your pay and doing all that stuff is usually one of those things they can hold over your head. We'll bust you down, and yeah. Yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll all jump on this thing. So the nice thing about optionality is they have the ability to do just spreads. So everything is in up front. Unfortunately they don't have a desktop version, so I can't show you right now. But essentially all your stuff is right there. They tell you your max gain, your max loss, because they can calculate all that stuff based off of your own so if I pull up a call spread, I can see my max gain would be maybe $190, and my max loss might be $90. So I'm able to see exactly what if I spend this much money, this is my risk, this is my reward. If I'm right and the thing flies or the thing drops like a rock, depending if you're doing a put spread or a call spread, and so But yeah, I think that's what we'll do is we'll all jump on that thing. We'll put out some sort of promo code. I'm sure they'll give you guys some sort of thing for joining, or at least most of all the other ones we did. I think they funded people's accounts as long as you signed up a certain thing. You can share a screen dongle for your iPad. Yeah, I mean, I think what I'll do is I'll figure out a way of pulling it up for the stream and then showing you guys what I'm doing, how it works, and then at that point we'll I'm just thinking what I'll do is I'll do short, like, like almost like TikTok style things, and I'll just show you guys when I'm making like a trade. I'll just put it up there, and we'll show the results. Dongle. The word is dongle. Dongle. But yeah, but I think this would be interesting, because I think what I'm going to do is I think we'll start with obviously some like safer ones, like in the money ones, and make just quick wins there, and then we'll play a couple, like depends on when we start. But if we start like around like, I wonder if DC would get on this too, because I think he's got a pretty good eye for like the TA side. He called out a couple of smart plays. I actually was able to like get in and out. The only thing that you can't do is I don't think you can do day trades on optionality, or you can do like a 3 or something before they flag you, but unless you have like an account with like, I don't know, like $20,000, I'm pretty sure they don't let you day trade, because you'll get hit. So is it 25K? Yeah. It used to be 20, I think. Now it's 25. Okay. Something I've seen on optionality is the options would equal out 50, 100, 150, the amount you earn to enter the trade. Yeah, so what you'll see is when you say, for example, I don't have their app on me. I left my phone upstairs. I was talking to my wife and I left my phone up there. For example, like when you place the bid, right? Like you bid ask, usually they give you a midpoint when you enter the trade, and I can show you guys kind of how that works. But I like to set it myself and see if I can get a better fill. Sometimes it takes longer to actually go. If you put it under the midpoint, it's gonna be less likely you're gonna fill, because obviously you're getting much closer to like the bid than the ask. So, and I'll break all that down how it works, but essentially you're saying like, I'm only willing to pay this much. And so unless the stock goes, down at the time, if we're doing call options or call spreads, for example, if the stock dropped enough, then it might hit my, order and fill. So, but usually whatever that number is, it's usually like a couple cents or $1 or something. That's how much the option would cost. And then you can actually see your max gain, your like potential, and you can actually break down your max loss, your break even, and your max gain. So like it's all right there. It's pretty good. I got to give these guys credit. Like I talked to them and I'm like, you guys made a really smart product. Like it's very easy for people to use. I don't have to like literally go and like, okay, let me figure out if I sell a call and I buy a call, what are my, like, they did everything for you. And they took out like a lot of the things that retail gets wrong, which is most retail can't handle theta. And that's very evident when you read through Theta Gang and just them laughing their heads off. So when you buy a spread, it eliminates a lot of the theta, which is what kills most retail. So I don't know. Yeah, day trading rule and options. Yeah, I think you have to have a certain amount of money in there before. But I'm only gonna put like $500 in. And we'll see what we can do with it. I'll see if they can make me maybe like a clean account. We'll just start from there, just like everybody else, because I already have some money already in there. But maybe like I'll use like my wife's account, or maybe I can clear out my thing and put it into brokerage, and then I'll start with 500 in my account. One or the other. But we'll figure it out, and then we'll start this fun little trade thing and kind of go from there. All right. Well, I'm going to head out, guys. You guys have a great evening, and I'll kind of fill you in on what I'm thinking about tomorrow, about this like little challenge or thing, and then we'll kind of go from there. Sound good? All right. Night, everybody.